"It's not mine," he said, like we were talking about a jacket or a set of keys and not the dark stains running all down his sleeve. He didn't look at me when he said it. He just kept his eyes fixed on the road, hands steady on the wheel, knuckles relaxed, like none of this mattered at all. Like my heart wasn't suddenly pounding hard enough that I could feel it in my ears. That was the exact moment I realized I needed to get out of that car. But that wasn't where the night started. When it started, I was just 18 and walking alone down a highway in the middle of West Virginia, doing something I told myself I'd only do just this once. It was close to 1 in the morning. That weird hour where it doesn't feel like late night or early morning, just a time you're not really supposed to be awake. The air was cold in that sticky way where it clings to your jacket but doesn't wake you up. I'd been walking for so long that my legs weren't even sore anymore. They'd gone past sore and settled into that numb, automatic rhythm. There weren't many cars out there. Every now and then a pair of headlights would appear far behind me, float closer, and then streak past without slowing. The first few times I stuck my thumb out. After the 5th or 6th car ignored me, I kept my hands in my pockets and just glanced up when I heard engines. It's a strange feeling, being 18 and realizing that nobody on that road owes you anything, that every set of headlights is a maybe that will almost always turn into a no. I wasn't out there for fun. I'd had an argument at home earlier that day, one of those big, ugly ones that leaves you feeling like the walls of your own house are pushing you out. A lot of raised voices, a lot of words that sound final even when you don't fully mean them. I walked out, slammed the front door, and kept going longer than I meant to. At first, I thought I'd walk it off, get some space, cool down. But by the time I actually stopped to think about where I was, the sun was already gone, and I was on a stretch of road that didn't look familiar. No sidewalks, no gas stations, just trees and the hum of distant insects and a sky that didn't have many stars. The plan, if you could call it that, turned into, just keep going until I hit the next town. I didn't have much money, my phone battery was low, and my pride was loud, so calling home wasn't an option my brain was willing to consider yet. So, I walked. The road curved and dipped and climbed in long, slow hills. My breath fogged a little when I exhaled. Now and then, a truck roared past, pushing air so hard it almost tugged me sideways. I half hoped one of them would pull over, but none did. I remember thinking how quiet it was between cars. The kind of quiet where your own footsteps are the loudest thing going on. When I saw another pair of headlights in the distance, I didn't even lift my arm at first. I just watched them approach, assuming it would be like all the others. But the lights got closer and slowed down. I lifted my head a little, squinting through the dark. The vehicle eased off the gas and rolled into the shoulder a few yards ahead of me, blinking its hazard lights once as it stopped. It was an old sedan, the kind that had probably been new before I was born. Faded paint, a little rust on the wheel wells, one headlight slightly dimmer than the other. The engine idled with a soft, uneven hum. The driver leaned over and pushed the passenger door open from the inside. The dome light flicked on weakly, and I saw him for the first time. An old man, gray hair combed back, deep lines in his face, thinning eyebrows that gave him a permanently tired look. He was wearing a pale button-up shirt and a jacket that had seen better years. "You out here alone?" he asked. His voice was steady, not warm, not cold, just matter of fact. "Yeah," I said, stepping a little closer. "Just trying to get to the next town." He nodded once, like that made sense. "Get in. I'm heading that way." I hesitated for half a second. This was the kind of thing every adult in my life would have told me not to do. Don't get in strangers' cars, don't hitchhike, don't be stupid. But I was tired, and it was cold, and the next town felt like it was a lifetime away. So I told myself to be grateful and climbed in. The inside of the car smelled faintly like old coffee and something medicinal. The seat creaked under my weight. I closed the door, clicked my seatbelt, and gave him a quick, polite nod. "Thanks," I said. "Really, I've been walking for a long time. He pulled back onto the highway. No trouble. For the first few minutes, it felt almost normal. We drove through the dark, the headlights carving out a tunnel ahead of us. The radio was off. The only sound came from the engine and the tires on the pavement. He asked where I was from. I gave him the name of my town. He said he'd heard of it but never stopped there. We exchanged the usual surface-level things. School, work, the kind of vague answers you give when you don't really want to get into the details. I watched the trees flick by, their shapes blending into one continuous wall of black. My body relaxed a little. Warmth crept back into my hands. My eyes felt heavy in that way they do after a long, cold walk. Then the questions started to change. "So," he said, casual as anything, "no family to pick you up?" I shrugged. "Not really around here." "That what you were doing? Visiting?" "Kind of," I said. It wasn't really a lie, but it wasn't the truth either. Just needed some air. Needed to move. He nodded slowly. "Nobody expecting you tonight?" Something about the way he asked it didn't sound casual anymore. It wasn't the words. It was the tone. Like the answer mattered in a way that had nothing to do with politeness. I tried to laugh it off. "Not really. I mean, they'll notice eventually. Just not tonight." He hummed at that, a low sound in his throat. "You on good terms with your parents?" I glanced sideways at him. The dashboard light painted his face in a dull, greenish tint. His expression didn't change. His eyes stayed on the road. "I guess," I said. "We argued. Doesn't mean we're not on good terms." "Arguments can change things," he said. "Sometimes it's better when they don't." I didn't know what to say to that, so I didn't say anything. A few seconds passed. The car hummed on. The air in the cabin started to feel a little heavier. He spoke again. "You got anyone who'd miss you if you didn't show up tomorrow?" He said it casually enough that if you read it on paper, it might look harmless. But in that moment, in that car, with nothing around us but trees and darkness, it hit wrong. "Why does that matter?" I asked. I tried to keep my tone light, but I could feel something tightening in my chest. "No reason," he said. "Just asking." His hands rested lightly on the steering wheel. His shoulders were relaxed. On the surface, he couldn't have looked more calm. But my nerves were starting to buzz. He asked where I lived, which neighborhood, which street, who I lived with, whether I had siblings, if I had a girlfriend, whether people knew I was out here. Every question brushed closer to the same core idea. How connected was I really? Who would notice if I didn't make it home? I stopped answering in full sentences. My responses got shorter, more vague. I started throwing in names, acting like more people were in the picture than there really were. He didn't push when I did that, but he didn't drop the subject either. It was like he was quietly mapping things out in his head. That was when I noticed his sleeve. I don't know how long it had been there before I really saw it. Just above his wrist, along the lower part of his forearm, the fabric of his shirt was stained. In the dim light, it looked almost black, dry, cracked in places, like it had been there for a while. At first, my brain tried to frame it as grease, oil, something from a car, but it didn't have the right pattern. It wasn't smeared. It had soaked into the cloth in irregular patches, darker at some edges, lighter in the center. My mouth went a little dry. "Hey, I said, trying to sound casual. "What happened to your clothes?" He glanced down briefly, just enough to see where my eyes had landed, then looked back at the road. "It's not mine," he said. Just like that. No emotion. No explanation. No follow-up. It took a second for the words to fully sink in. When they did, my throat felt tight. The air in the car suddenly felt thinner. My heartbeat, which had been steady, picked up in speed and volume. I stared at him for a moment, trying to decide if he was joking. If there was some kind of story behind that answer I wasn't getting. A nosebleed, an accident, anything. He didn't offer one. His face didn't change. His voice didn't change. He just kept driving, eyes forward, hands easy on the wheel. That was the moment I realized I didn't want to be in that car anymore. I swallowed once. My tongue felt too big in my mouth. I think you should let me out, I said quietly. He didn't react at first. Didn't turn his head. Didn't say no. The only sign that he'd heard me was the faint tightening of his jaw. You hear me? I asked. I'm good. I can walk from here. More silence. The tires hummed. The headlights washed over the endless two-lane road ahead of us. No houses, no gas stations, no lights in the distance. Just the white lines and the dark. I started to wonder if I should grab the door handle and just jump. The idea made my stomach twist. We weren't going that fast, but fast enough that it would hurt. Then, finally, he spoke. His voice was softer this time. You sure? Yeah, I said. Really sure. A long few seconds passed. Then he guided the car gently toward the shoulder. We rolled to a gradual stop. He didn't flick on the hazards. He didn't turn off the engine. He just let it idle, the vibrations running quietly through the frame. We sat there for a moment. The highway stretched out ahead and behind, empty and still. The trees on either side rustled slightly in the night breeze. He still didn't look at me. You can go, he said. That was it. No lecture. No change of tone. No attempt to convince me to stay. Just those 3 words. I didn't waste time. I unbuckled, opened the door, and stepped out. The night air felt colder after the stuffy cabin. I backed away a couple of steps, keeping my eyes on the car, half expecting him to get out or say something else. He didn't. The door clicked shut behind me. The car pulled away, slow at first, then faster. He never looked back, never rolled down his window, never leaned out to say anything. Within seconds, the red of his taillights blurred into the darkness and disappeared around a bend. I stood there on the side of the road, heart still thudding, listening to the absence of his engine. The silence that followed felt bigger than before, heavier. I started walking. I walked for the rest of the night. Every time I heard something behind me, a car, a rustle in the trees, even my own shoe scuffing against a loose rock, I flinched a little. My mind kept replaying tiny details. The way he'd asked those questions, the stains on his sleeve, the way he didn't look at me when he said, "It's not mine." I don't know what his story was. I don't know what would have happened if I'd stayed in the car. Maybe nothing. Maybe he really was just lonely and strange and bad at conversation. Maybe the stains were from something completely benign. But alone on that highway, with nothing but my own thoughts and the sound of my footsteps to keep me company, I knew one thing for sure. I was never going to take that kind of chance again. The sky eventually lightened. The horizon went from black to deep blue to the pale gray of early morning. A few more cars appeared. One of them finally stopped and offered me a ride. A middle-aged couple heading into town. They were friendly in the way people are when they don't have anything to hide. I got home hours later, exhausted, sore, and quieter than I'd ever been in my life. My parents were angry, then relieved, then angry again. They wanted to know where I'd been, what I'd done, why I hadn't called. I didn't tell them the whole story. I just said I'd walked too far, got lost, and caught a ride back. For weeks after that, any time I was in a car at night and the driver wore long sleeves, I found myself glancing at their arms, just to check, just to make sure. I never hitchhiked again, and I never forgot the way that old man's voice sounded when he said it. It's not mine. Like that was all I needed to know. If you want more stories from out here, you can subscribe. And thank you for giving me the chance to tell you another one.